Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Tell me, were you able to see the last topic which we discussed? 7th exercise, right? Slightly. I looked a little bit. At least you were able to create the website structure with the sitely and then the template thing, static template. Site template. I didn't do that actually. Much about you gave me the exercise, right? I completed that exercise. After that, I didn't. Let's revise that. I can understand you're working and have family, everything right. This is additionally your advice. No. No. Nothing like that. I'll be serious only. Just I didn't get time. Now I'll be free from today. Only until yesterday I was free. I'll be free from today. I'll be concentrating more on this. No problem. Let's quickly revise, right? Where were we? Share your screen quickly. Let me share. Understanding things right. You're with what? How we are? I'm getting things right. It's really good. I got a lot of content now with at least understanding wise. Before that, I know what it is like. How can we do it? But again, to understand completely. Now I'm little. Good actually. Feeling good. This was session 7 where we were discussing this. We discussed about the slightly innumerable objects. Right. Innumerable objects. One innumerable object. I talked about properties, right? Which read the property of that particular resource, right? If same code it will execute on page 1, it will read the property of page 1. If same code will execute for page 1, it will read the property of page 2. That property object gets access to the same resource wherever the code is executing. Right. That was the again important point I was explaining. Right? Then we have, I compared this actually. And then we have a current page, object, current node object. I also told you current page is from the Sling API, whereas node is from the JCR API. Right. And always it's an interview question, right? If see you can access name from current page object also and current node object also. Which one will you pick? Answers which API is coming from Sling. We will use that. They will ask the next question because you are senior person. They will not just stop there. The answer for that is Sling API is wrapped on top of JCR API where exception handling is done in better way. CLI. That's the answer. PI. Let me write it down. Give me a minute. Let me bring my book in. Good minute. Whenever you have an option to either use JCR API or Sling API, you should always choose Sling API. The reason behind that is Sling API. As thread says, exception handling is done better in that. Because Sling API internally uses JCR API, on top of it, it handles errors and exception. That's the answer for it. Here, that's the whole objective about this exercise was to explain you. We have various immemorial objects like current page, properties, current node, for which you don't need to initialize them. They are by default initialized by a system itself, right? And out by a system itself. Whenever you create a project, you always have a found. You inherit things from somewhere. That somewhere is having the initialization for all these objects for you. That somewhere is nothing but out-of-the-box code, either from the foundation component or from the core component. We'll discuss that in detail when we talk about components and all. We'll talk about the inheritance. That time we'll discuss about foundation and core component. You think you are good here with this exercise? And you were able to create the site structure. You were able to include various files into one file via data fly, include write. That is also clear. Let's go to the last point of this session. Scroll down. We were able to see the various sections of the page when you included various files into one single file, right? That's what we did. The content page, we included header, footer, body, all those things. And that's why we see like this without a style. But the whole idea is when actual project comes, you don't write whole code into one page, one HTML, but you divide in various HTMLs and then club them into one file that your code doesn't look clumsy. Right. That's how I mean. That's what about session 7, Cite HTML. Hypertext article language. Now where we were. Do you? Session 8. One thing, Jagdish Jag, sorry, I want to tell you. Please download this session and put them in a folder like training, AEM training. I kept it actually. Let me. I'll do it. I understand. It will be easier even for tomorrow if you want to refer right. Because no one watches the recorded videos. I mean 99%, I tell. Recorded videos from any course, any this thing, no one watches them. I agree. I created one folder. And you will refer these guides later. But no, you won't having time to watch the videos. I just created it. But I'll need to copy all of them. I'll copy today. Create a parent folder and then session 1 session. Like the way I have. I'll do that today. Now to be there, we will talk about session 8, which is quite smaller session, but very important session and important for you. Basically, if it's a 1-year-old developer, I won't like it is. Just I like explain high level and done. But generally this type chapter, I want to inform you some additional things here, right? What is that? Additional things. Inheritance, you are already aware, right? I don't need to explain you what is the meaning of inheritance. In Java, how do you achieve inheritance? Tell me. By, extending classes or extending interfaces. Interfaces, right? Implementing interfaces or extending classes. Implement. And why? What is the difference between extending and implementing? Extending, like we can extend only one class. For implementing, we can implement multiple interfaces. It's like multiple hierarchy. Here also we have inheritance, right? Same way, inheritance means someone is inheriting something from the parent. There will be also parent-child relationship and child is going to inherit from the parent. Now when we say inherit, right? Suppose your father has some property, right? And you are the only child, right? You are not the only child. You like whatever, right? You have multiple siblings also, but by default you will inherit things from your parents, correct? Whatever they have, right? Suppose your father buy a car or buy a house. When your friend asks you, won't say that it's my father, you simply say it's mine, right? That's how it is. That's the inheritance we get from our ancestors or our parents. Same way here. Whatever property, but here we're talking about nodes. We are talking about JCR. We are talking about resources. Right. Here, what will get inherited? The node will have what? In JCR, what are all the two things we have? Either node or property. And in Sling it is resources. Yes or we talk about inheritance in terms of nodes. One node. Whatever nodes or property, will it have same node and property will get inherited to the child node. Right. And resource is the parent resource. Parent resource, whatever files or whatever it has, same. Everything will get inherited to the child resource. So, basically here, when we say resource, node or components, ultimately we are more interested towards components, right? In a component, what are the things you can have? You can have your rendering scripts like we have seen, right? Where is HTML components, right? And have some JavaScript. It can have some properties, right? It may also inherit from someone else, right? Whatever this component has, and if you have, you're creating a child component from this component, your child component, even if it doesn't have anything, but you're simply just saying that this previous component is my parent. As soon as you tell that the current component which you created, even which doesn't have anything by its own, it will get everything via inheritance from its parent. Is that clear? That's clear. That's what we'll see. There are three types of inheritance. We'll see. Basically, it's a certification question, sir. Please remember three types of inheritance hierarchies are resource type, hierarchy, container hierarchy, and include hierarchy. There will be options. You have to choose which are correct. I will explain. You don't need to like by heart. You will always remember. Resource type hierarchy mean when one component gets inherited by another component via a property called Sling resource supertype. Remember, this is one of second most important property of AEM. First most important property was what? Sling column resource type. Resource type. Resource type. Resource type. Right. Resource type. What it used to do? It used to point where the rendering script is. Correct. Where is the rendering script? Whereas Sling resource supertype, what it does? It tells where the parent is. There is a difference. Simple difference, right? Simple difference. Resource type is used for write. Sling resource type. You will explain everything. Do you know Sling resource supertype? You will explain everything. Then there will the body, the difference. Simple difference. Type is used for pointing where is the rendering script located, right? For a resource for which you are looking for the rendering script. Whereas link resource supertypes tells you where is the parent located for this particular component or not. Here, we'll see with the example this resource type hierarchy in detail. Then you have container hierarchy, and inside that to drag and drop another component. By default, you will inherit certain properties from the container into this inner component. That is what it is, right? Include hierarchy. Suppose you have included added. You have a file in that you using data slide include. During adding another file inside that is called include higher included file will get something from the parent container file. Key cases. You will be seeing only resource type hierarchy, container hierarchy. We will see, but we will not actually say it's an inheritance in terms of it, right? But resource type hierarchy is something which we are interested in. You understood there are three types of type of we will use include hierarchy, right? I mean we include files, but we especially doesn't say that it's inherited. We say I've included this file into the understand and send and send and send. It's included. Much significance basically. The most significant one is selling resource super type. Let's next. Right. Now I want to explain something very important. Please open a notepad or something. I'll ask you to write that. It is not that in the document. Yes, sir. Any new note? You may say notes, notes or something. Rename it to notes. See what I was talking about? There is something called foundation component. Just write it foundation component. Right. And enter and then write a core component. Right. You might have heard and maybe worked on core component, but I'll tell you some history. See, this core component is the what is core component? You know, writing in dialog boxes, buttons, page, page, page. See Adobe. Adobe EM is somewhere around like 15 years old product now, right? Or more than 2000, it started actually 2003. I mean now around 20 years old. What happened eventually, right? Eventually, people feeling that we are duplicating work, right? Suppose I work on a project. This project needs some carousel. And if I go to another project, that project also needs carousel. Maybe in worldwide, thousands of people working, everyone needs carousel. Why everyone create the carousel? Why not? We have some common carousel which everyone can reuse. Or there is a hero component, or there is a search component, or whatever component, which are generic in nature. People like you and me came together. And they said, let's do one thing. Not, let's create something, some common components, common features which everyone can use it. Adobe said they requested to Adobe that we are doing this. Adobe said, let's do one thing. Let us maintain that. You guys contribute. Understood. Understood. And then that group and you contribute. Anyone who knows, who has knowledge, can contribute in that. That's where this core component became as an open source project. And then people started raising R for generic components. And when team who is maintaining that repos and all they notice that this particular thing is unique and not created earlier by someone, and it is a generic feature, then definitely they merge your R and that components become part of the product itself. Are you getting me? I'm getting you. Open your CX Delight. I will tell you where that code component project you can see. Under Apps Code. Under Apps, you see Code Project. So, right? Why components? All these components are generic. Or self forms image lists, navigation serve separator sharing types even. All these components are much generic manager that you can complete your website just using these components without creating a new development. Considering there was a state of Oklahoma website which we developed within a month, right? Site went live where we didn't do any single development. We just literally, you reuse the core component and we created the website. I mean, it's not that straightforward as I'm saying, but it is still not that difficult. That we see it is not. Core component. We use some of the components, core components. Dedicated session on core component only. We'll do it in session 11, 12, 13 is all about core components. Understood core component. Now core components are pre-created. I mean group, some common open source group has created a product, has shipped it. Right. And then when there is something new, updates and all, they release the version. You have to update the core, you in your project form, but then you have to update. What will happen? It will download the latest core component module from internet and then it will install in your system. Right. Understood. Now why I'm talking about components here? Why I'm talking about core component? That core component, you understood why it came, right? Before component. Do you think that before core component, no one has thought about it, this in using things and all? Right. Definitely. Someone has already thought when they created the product. That's why everyone needs to reinvent the wheel. Why not we create something which is common? With that thought, the initial product team itself, they thought it about that. But whatever they were developing, those things are not generic, right? For that purpose, only the core component project is started and Adobe themselves maintains that. But contribution anyone can do it, right? To improve the out-of-the-box feature functionality, before core component, there used to be a foundation component. It is still there. Foundation component where you can find under LIPS project to go to LIPS AEM Foundation. Not that. Foundation component. Right. I understand. That is a foundation, right? That is not. Components. That this is one, right? And then the other one was also Lip Foundation, directly on right. They said, these are the one which we are creating by default. You can reuse it, but the list was very limited, right? And for this you wait for the product to update. Rather than they thought, let's not take it by a product, we create a one open source. Adobe will manage it and they will ship it by the product itself. And if someone wants to take an upgrade or not, they should take the latest code and then from the latest repos of your this project, right? Where I was here, I was talking about core component and foundation component. Foundation component, well also, the idea was someone can reutilize things, right? They cannot reinvent them. But when we said they can reutilize or utilize the existing things, how they can achieve that via inheritance? Is that clear? Right. Yes. When you create your own component, you either point out to foundation components, which is having some out-of-the-box capabilities available already, or you point out to the core component. Is that clear? Yes, no, that's clear. Now, Adobe's recommendation is from the few years is you always use core components only as a parent for your component. Now, when you all use core component, only then everyone in the world will use core component only, right? Yes, so why foundation component? When core components were not there, that time we used to inherit via foundation components. Is that clear? Yes? But in that case, what used to happen is there is only small set of like 5, 10 components were there earlier. It was not fulfilling everyone's needs. Even though you inherited from something, you have to write full code. Yes. To overcome that, these guys have created core component which is having almost complete functionality inside them. Suppose you want to use carousel, you just inherit it and don't write any code in your system. And that particular feature will be ready. Is that clear? Basically, we are talking about inheritance here. If you create your own project and you don't want to reinvent the wheel, inherited via one of the core component, project component. Is that clear? That's clear. Now when we say core component, right? When we have to create a new structure, component we will inherit via core components. Page component, you see there is a page in the list. Above. Right. Will inherit from this. But if you click on that page, one page again. Click on that, click on the node and see its properties. Click on the node page, no page. And can you see the property right hand side? There is an arrow. It will come up extreme right bottom. What are the properties it has? All these properties it has. What it will do is we will say, see, this is a core component, right? But internally it is what? Where it is in mega inheritance, what is the path value there? ABCM/foundations, the relative paths are absolute path. Relative path. It's a relative path. What Sling will do? Sling will append /lives first. And when it will do that? Sorry, first apps, right? Then I wanted to check that only. It will look under apps first. But in apps it won't find this path, right? Then it will go to libs. And in libs it finds that path. That means what? That folder inside libs is your parent folder for this page component. Is that clear? Ultimately, you either inherit from this core component, page component, or directly via foundations, page component, right? Doesn't matter, but recommended is you always use core component. And voila, only clear. Because internally anyway it uses the foundation page component. That was this. Can you go to the document? That same thing. I have explained to you that this page component is inheriting from the foundation one, right? It has various files and all it does. Anything which we are not interested right now. And next delete the content to it or text on script. Next. I think that's it. In any dance, is that much only why a bitch property because you've been edited by a selling resource. Super tight. Remember that always. That was a small topic. As I already said, the important thing was to explain various things here. But we are all good. The next topic is open. The next topic. 9 right. Session 8. I think it's done right. Session 8. I think it's done right. It's completed session 8. I'm losing track of what this session was. Wasn't it 7? Or session 8 only? Session 7 1. Session 8 only. I don't see any after this like the session is completed. Do you want me to open 9? Open 9. We'll talk about the components now. Session 9 right. Let me download it. Here it is. Download. Let me download this. Session 10 is very important. And it takes minimum 2 hours or maybe 3 hours. Probably we have to do it in 2 settings. But session 10 is all about editable templates. It's very important for you to understand things. Open. Actually, component in dialog. Have you created earlier components in dialog and all? I created a little bit. What I recommend to you is here. Literally, we are just creating a component and then drag and dropping it. I can do this if you want. You at least try this right. And don't do this last exercise, context-aware configuration. I'll explain that later to you. What is context-aware configuration? Don't do this exercise. Do it till exercise 3 on me. And then we'll discuss. But today I have a quiz for you. Don't say that later. You can send it to me. This time I'll read and I'll attend. Let me see. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I got. We'll continue today or tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow only. Because it is going to take some time. It's not small. And 10, how much time it will take? You said 10 will take 2 sessions, right? 10 will definitely. We have to plan some weekend or something that we can cover it in single shot. From next weekend, I'll be really free. But like this weekend, I'm free from this weekend. How about tomorrow? Do you don't have time in the weekdays? Tomorrow I have holiday actually. I can have time tomorrow. Oh, then that's perfect. What time? What we try is, if you are able to finish session 9, you're. If you are not, then also. Right? I will try to cover session 10 tomorrow and maybe 2 settings, but in one day. If we do, things will be clearer. Otherwise, it is confusing. Topic editable templates. Right. I don't want to be. But you said like you will be telling the context-aware thing, right? I'll cover that. I can skip that also session 10. I can start. And don't worry. I know the flow. In session. I have to explain any context. Just you the basics of that. It is part of session 9, but I will actually cover it in session 10. That's fine. If you want, we can stretch tomorrow for 2 hours. Let me share the question links to you. I have until session 9, session 10. You don't have right. 1 minute. Let second venue. Still session 10. How many of documents are sent or governments are especially time? I heard, let me say them. I requirements please. Hey, come on, come on. I'll tell you everything. Don't worry. No, I'm just wanting 1 minute. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.